Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Community FC. We've got another episode of the Roundup review for you coming, which is actually, it's the last episode of the Roundup review for season 2. That is, anyway. Don't fret, we will be back. So it's going to be season 2, episode 12. And this is going to be, as we kind of mentioned last week, it's going to be kind of our award ceremony show. Like, we thought it'd be fun to do, like, classic. Everyone loves to do it, like team of the season and a few other little fun awards we've got in. So nice and short, just going through them. But don't forget, there will be plenty more content coming over the summer. It might not be as regular, but there will be content coming. So anyway, before we get into it, I can, for the last time this season, introduce my constant co-host, Rich. How you doing, mate?
Very good, thank you, Aidan. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. You notice that just rolls off the tongue now. Just so simple.
It's easy now, isn't it? We've been doing this game for nearly a year now. It's been fantastic.
Do you know what? I'm really excited to do some transfer episodes and then actually hit the season running from day one to have everything set up and be ready to go. Because I think that's going to be an interesting season ahead. But we will talk about that on another time because today is reflection. We're going backwards. So we're literally going to kick off straight into the big boy for some people, but we're going to do team of the season. And the way we've decided to do this, just to keep it a little bit more interesting, we're not going to have too much debate on people because we've got a lot to get through. Obviously, we're going to talk good, bad, and that kind of stuff, but we're going to go through per position at the same time. So Rich is going to start in a second, and then I'll go after him for the same position, and we can, do some very nicely nods or agrees or some disagrees. So do you want to kick off on this? It's just a team of the season. We're going to do young team of the season after.
Perfect. Yeah. So I will caveat mine by saying that if you wanted who is best by stats, then you can go and look at the Premier League team of the season and the FIFA team of the season.
Mm-hmm.
What I have done is I've picked ones that have impressed me and I think have been really, really good in their position. So I'm going to start off with a goalkeeper that's outside of the top 6, and that's Jose Sarr.
So I would also like to caveat that I haven't done it necessarily on stats. One position I did, and I'll explain why in a minute. Mine may be similar to the other one, but we will see. But that's just my personal opinion as well. But I was contentious on this one as well because I was going to go for one of the big boys, but actually I have gone with you and I have gone Jose Sarr.
I think he's been such a brilliant player this season for Wolves. He's been absolutely outstanding, and I think he deserves to be there, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, most people, if you're not talking Alisson Ederson, you're hearing Jose Sarr mentioned. So I think that is absolutely fair.
Cool. So where do you want to start, left or right?
You go, whichever you feel.
We'll start at left back, shall we? And I've gone in for Cancelo from Man City.
A left back, sorry.
A left back.
So have I. I don't think there's too much contention. I don't think it was as good as the season before, but his numbers are still ridiculous.
Yeah, he's still fantastic. I mean, you can't argue with his contributions to the game. So very happy with that. Well, that's 2 out of 2.
Nice and easy,
yeah.
Agree. But yeah, we should say we don't know each other's teams, so we're finding out on the spot. That's the point to keep it fun.
Coming up, I've got Ruben Diaz.
Okay. I'll do it in the formation I've done it in. So I would have Rudiger. He
was on my subs bench.
Mm-hmm. I just feel he's been a bit of a monster, and even just seeing how much they're going to miss him. I just think he is such a presence about him, and I think Chelsea are going to really, really miss him.
Yeah. The other one I don't think is any surprise. It's Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah, so I'm glad I did that around because I have done the same thing. Again, I don't think best season that he's had, and I don't think he's dropped a bit of that ridiculous, like he's the best player centre back of all time nonsense this season. But he's obviously incredibly solid, and I think your partnership or mine is totally solid for a centre back partnership.
Yeah, absolutely. My right back is going to be a little bit contentious. I have foregone the obvious of Trent Alexander-Arnold.
I mean, I can guess.
Feel free.
No, go on. I was going to say, is he a Saints player?
He is. I've gone for Kyle Walker-Peters. I think, honestly, he has been phenomenal this season. And in fact, most of the games this season, he's been playing at left back.
Yeah.
And he's been playing absolutely fantastic. I think he honestly deserved the call up to the England squad over the last week or so. I think he's been absolutely solid. I think his game has really improved. And honestly, I think he deserves some recognition.
Yeah, and you know what? I have watched quite a lot of games with you, and you've kind of. It's always interesting when you watch games with a fan of a team because you get to know the nuances of where they should be playing maybe more than other things. And I agree, he's been very, very good this season. So yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. And I should caveat. Now I've done the defense. What formation have you run?
What was your right back first?
Oh yeah, sorry. So my right back. was contentious. I had a second option, but he might feature in my young team of the season to change it up instead, even though my player that I'm going to pick could also be in there, but I went for Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah, it's fair enough. I think that is the best option, really. He is, stat-wise, probably the best right back in the league at the moment. But
yeah, and I just think he's, he is probably one of the hottest prospects still for like any other clubs looking his output.
Can't put a corner in to save his life, though.
Well, there you go. Maybe that's his fault at the moment.
Yeah. In terms of formation, I've gone for a bit of a 4-4-2, but I mean it's a little bit loosey goosey, really. I've gone, 2 central midfielders and 2 wingers.
Okay, well, we can play around that though, because I've gone for a 4-3-3, but with a 1 defensive midfielder, so we can work around that as well.
Yeah. Okay, works for me. So I'll start off with my left winger, and I've gone for Son.
Okay. So I will. I mean, how do you want to do this? Shall I start with my wingers in that sense, where they would be on the pitch?
Or... Yeah. Start with your wingers on the pitch. Yeah.
My left winger would also be Son, and I think we can both agree that how he is not on the Premier League team this season is a joke.
It's a travesty.
What else do you have to do?
Travesty. Well, yeah, exactly. Move to a different team.
Well, this has also been. There's been some interesting comments from ex-United players and all sorts this week about it. So yeah.
Yeah. We'll go straight to the other side, to the right wing. I imagine it's going to be a similar player. Probably. I've gone for Salah.
Yeah, I have as well. I like to say that he can't not be on there, obviously. Like, unbelievable numbers. We will say, however, since some of his international failures and some club failures as well for cups and stuff, he hasn't looked the same player. Like, at the end of the season, he really tailed off. So, but the rest of the season, like 2/3 of the season, phenomenal. Easy pick.
Yeah, and I've done, because of what it's really easy to look at form dropping off towards the end of the season.
Yeah,
and I've tried to take into account a full season of the
not recency bias, which is great.
Yeah. So one of my central midfielders, I've gone for Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah. So one of my attacking midfielders, I have also gone for Kevin De Bruyne again. Unbelievable numbers. Like some of those games, that one game when it was 5-1, and he just kept on scoring. He's going to be ridiculous, and I am terrified next season for him being able to provide to Erling Haaland. So yeah.
R.I.P. the Premier League.
Yeah.
My other central midfielder, Prowse.
Yeah, and so mine isn't that, but I can totally understand why. And if he wasn't, it'd be an honourable shout for me because again, absolute bit. So my other one in that sense would have been Bernardo Silva. So I've gone for an all Manchester City midfield in that sense. Yeah.
Okay, so I've got 2 strikers left.
Yeah.
The first one should come as no surprise. It's going to be Harry Kane.
Yeah. Again, I don't think you can argue with that. I will go with my centre defensive mid first, obviously, to make the rest of my team up. So I have gone for Declan Rice, and my 3 is Rice behind with KDB and Bernardo Silva in front.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. He's definitely on my subs bench. But I just wanted to shoehorn Prowse in over him, to be honest.
Well, I had a feeling there'd be 1 or 2 Saints players making their way in.
Oh, there definitely is. And then my final player is Jarrod Bowen.
Well, and do you know what? I'm really glad you said that. He's not in mine, but he is on my honourable mentions list, actually, to go through in a second, because phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, and again, another player fantastic. Who could be having a move. So my final player for my striker position, again, I had this was the hardest decision for me. I struggled so much. I had 3 people in mind, but I actually, in the end, again, maybe a little bit of bias, but maybe not, I went with Ronaldo. And I know this was a big contentious one for lots of people. For Premier League teams, go on, you want to say something? Go.
I was just going to say, I thought you would go for Ronaldo.
So I didn't have him in originally, and then I took him out and changed.
I don't think you can argue with his stats if you're looking at it from a pure stat perspective.
And that is, I said I tried not to do it on stats and I did it on form, but I didn't want to be super team biased as well and have him in. But I basically, originally, I'll quickly say this. My original thought I had Mane in because Mane was playing through the centre quite a lot when Jota wasn't doing it. But I feel like he had the opposite of Salah, where he picked up when Salah left off, and I don't think he had a brilliant first start of the season. And then it was really between Kane and Ronaldo. And I was like, right, so Ronaldo's played 30 games, scored 18 goals. Kane's played 37 games, scored 17. He's had 4 pens. Ronaldo's had 3 pens. And I was like, and do you know what? The amount his shoulders have hurt this season from him and David De Gea, I was like, I'm just going to pick Ronaldo. So There we go. That's our teams. Any honourable mentions you want to quickly throw out, and then we'll move on?
I think we pretty much covered my honourable mentions. The only ones I was really going to... Mane deserves an honourable mention. Obviously, you had Rice. That would have been an honourable mention for me. I think it's Jota.
Yeah, I mean, it could
be. He narrowly missed out. I mean, he had flashes of brilliance throughout the season. So I just think that, a bit more consistency, and maybe we'll see him there one day.
Yeah. And the only other one for me, which was, again, quite a tough decision for me, because I think this was a really, really close one. But I don't, if I was playing two, very much so. But if I was playing one, I'm going to pick Rice. But it was Rodri for me for centre defensive mid. Cool. So I think we've got, some positions fairly similar. Mine, as you said, is probably a bit more standard to the actual team of the year. But that's why I thought it'd be super fun to have a young team of the season. I didn't actually specify an age of you of what we counted as young, so we'll see. I think all my players are under 23 and under, but like 25 is fine.
I'm pretty sure mine are under 23 as well.
So, but I was like, one, it gives us a chance to have some different players on there, but two, it maybe gives us a chance to talk about some players that have really impressed us this season and don't get as much limelight.
I think this is going to be a really interesting one, to be honest.
I do. I think again, we're going to have some core players which are the same, but I think might have one or two shockers for other ones. So I'll tell you what, shall I kick off on this one?
And yeah, go for it.
So for my young team of the season, I have got, in my goalkeeper position, I've got Aaron Ramsdale.
Yeah, that's a great shout. And that was honestly a toss-up for me, but I've gone for Sanchez from Brighton.
Very nice. I had, actually, we'll get on to honourable mentions. I had an honourable mention that I had in the wings, but we'll save that one for a minute. Yeah. I will, you said left back, didn't you? So let's go left back again. So I have gone for, I always pronounce his name wrong, Cucurella from Brighton.
Yeah, exactly the same as what I've got there, mate. He's had a phenomenal season.
And do you know what? Like, again, we haven't talked about this, but I think this is going to show where players have really stepped up if we're all having the same kind of opinions. But also, again, I've seen links that a couple of days ago, City and a couple of other people sniffing around for him. So it's one of them. They're going to place Zinchenko. So who knows? Right. So centre back, I haven't really done these in left or right. So I'm just going to say one. So I've gone for Crystal Palace's Mark Gahey.
Exactly the same as me, mate. Exactly the same place, yeah.
Wow. And then I'm going to quickly rapid fire because some of these might be the same. The second centre back, I've gone for Wesley Fofana from Leicester.
Exactly the same, mate. You will not believe this. Exactly the same.
I don't. It's funny and I'm laughing, but I don't think it's that unseen. Like when you're narrowing down a criteria and you're going, right, who's really, really impressed me this season? You could have had what's his name from Everton? There was one that I was looking at from Everton. His name has literally escaped me that I was going to have as a centre back as well. But I was like, I can't have him. They've leaked too many goals. I'm sorry. Like I was
exactly
in that position. So, so right back position, I could have gone Trent because obviously he does count in that category, which is mental as well. But I wanted to change it up. So I think I know who you're going to pick if you have another Saints player. But I actually went Reece James because he really impressed me this season when he was available to play without injuries and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've obviously gone for Tino.
Yeah,
because the thing is, why I ranked, I think, Tino above Reece James. This was Tino's first ever season in the Premier League, and he came. He's younger than 20. What is he, like 18 or 19 or something?
Yeah, I think he's 19.
This is his first season, and he went straight into the first team, and he did bits until injury.
Yeah,
and I think realistically, Reece James, he's been on the scene for a little while now.
Yeah.
And I think, we know Reece James has quality. I was just more impressed with Tino's ability to slot straight into a Premier League team.
You don't need to sell it to me that hard because we can spoil it now, but Tino was on my honourable mentions list as number one because while I was thinking about it, the only reason I agree with you, I think Reece James showed something in some other games where there was a couple of games he was just unplayable, but also not talking of recency bias because right at the beginning of the season, which also comes into another honourable mention, but I'll talk now because it's relevant to the point. But when it was Ben Chilwell and Reece James running the show for the beginning at Chelsea, like they were phenomenal together as wing backs. And I was that's what pushed it for me. So again, I've gone the same formation. Have you gone the same formation or have you changed it up?
Yeah, same. It's just fairly loosey-goosey, to be honest. Cool. You just go with what you go with.
Okay, well, I'll start off my centre defensive mid so you can change whoever. This one, I tried to, like I did with Reece James, I was thinking, do I change it up? But I haven't. I just think he's been unbelievable this season, so I've gone for Declan Rice again in that position because he's a monster.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I tried to stay. I stayed away from any that that could have possibly gone in there. And yeah, Declan Rice definitely could have gone into this team. But for my sense, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you one of my central midfielders, and I've got Kulusevski.
Oh, interesting.
Tottenham. I think he's had since joining in January. I think he's been absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, between himself and Bentancur, revitalised that Tottenham team.
Yeah. No, I do not disagree. So one of my, so I've got two attacking mids again, like I did last time. So one of my attacking mids is Conor Gallagher. I don't think that's any surprise to anyone.
No, and he was my other central midfielder.
He was on my thoughts for team of the year, but I was like, I just can't over some other people, but I really wanted to. But I was like, I got young team of the year, so I will shoehorn him in. The other one, I actually found this really difficult to find someone to go alongside him. I'm happy to say that. I just think there was an obvious option staring me in the face, but I didn't want to go with it because I thought there has to be someone else. But in the end, he did have a good season. Some games didn't reflect it, but I've gone for Mason Mount.
Yeah, that's fair enough. He's definitely worth a shout in here. He would have been on my honourable mentions list, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. So who's your other one?
I will go with my left winger.
Mm-hmm.
And I put Jadon Sancho.
Wow. That is very surprising to me.
Yeah. You can't argue with his quality, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we've seen Sancho at his best.
No,
but there's been flashes of it. And you can see that, he's still only young, and that's the other thing. He's still only very young. I do think that he's definitely going to be immense in the future.
I really hope so. And again, obviously being a United fan, I could speak more on that quickly. Like, it was the whole case of at the beginning of the season trying to shoehorn him into the right when he clearly wants to play the left, and Rashford also wants to play the left, and we don't have that person that wants to play on the right. And there was flashes. Some games he was amazing, and some games he fell off. But yeah, I'm expecting big things from Sancho in the future for United. Okay, so I've got effectively two wingers and a striker left. So I will go with one of my wingers, and I will go with my, again, not necessarily the position he plays all the time at all, but to shoehorn him in the team. And you mentioned him earlier, but I've actually gone Kulusevski on one of the wings, because the same as you. And I debated this because I was like, I don't want to have people that haven't been there the full time. Like, you could have Diaz was unreal on terms of form and stuff for some of them, but I was like, he has to be. He's had such an impact, like even on fantasy league, ridiculous amount of points and stuff for everything he's done, and he's going to be easily a starter for Spurs next season.
Yeah, I'll go for my other winger, and I've put Phil Foden in there.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone can argue with his quality. I think he's probably England's best youngster.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think if you were saying who is England's most valuable asset right now from a young player, it's going to be Phil Foden.
Yeah, he's unreal. He's unreal.
Unreal talent. I will go with my right winger, and I'll say my striker for last. And my striker has played there, but not. So my right winger, I've gone for Saka for Arsenal, because I think, again, great recovery from what happened at the Euros is a big point for that. We've seen players like Marcus Rashford who've not come back at all really this season, and Saka's really seemed to shrug it off and found that love and enjoying his club football again. So he's been an absolute threat and worthy of my team. Yeah,
and I will tell you that one of my strikers is Saka. So yeah, completely agree with you. I think he again is. I think he's got an insane skill level, and his ceiling is going to be high. I look forward to him really setting the league alight, because I think he has got all the quality to do it. Yeah,
I absolutely agree with that. And in terms of we've basically just got lots of players and switched from different positions. But for my striker, because he has played as there a few times for Pep, I have Phil Foden. So that racks up my team.
Fine. I actually struggled for a second striker, but I went with someone who I think has got an immense potential, but might not necessarily be there just yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gone for Brozier.
Yeah.
I think the start he had to the season, again, hasn't played Premier League really. I think he might have had a couple of starts for Chelsea. But to get pretty much straight into the first team above Adam Armstrong, who we'd spent £15 million for, is pretty impressive. And yeah, he dropped off towards the end. I think mentally he's got to work on his game a bit more. But I do think he's such a raw talent and has got a lot of potential. And he really impressed me, at least for a good majority of the season.
I have no arguments with that at all. I think striker was an incredibly hard position for Young, which is why I put Phil Foden, because he has played in that weird false nine position for City, and then put the others around him. But some solid people there. I love the fact that we've got some interesting like choices from midfield upwards, but our defence was pretty much nearly the same. Any honourable mentions that you want to mention for young player?
Well, yeah, the only honourable mentions that I had really were Reece James, obviously, Declan Rice, Ramsdale again was on my subs bench, and I think everyone else, I'm pretty sure we've got pretty much
cool. I have
sort of thing.
A couple of others. So obviously we mentioned Tino, Chilwell, etc. Harvey Barnes. He's slightly old. I think he's 25, but still in that young one. Chalobah from Chelsea, I thought stepped up and had some good games. For keeper, if I wasn't picking Ramsdale, I'd be picking Meslier from Leeds, and then Eze from Crystal Palace. But I had so many Crystal Palace people, I was tempted to put him instead of Mount, but I didn't. So I was like, the balance. But yeah, I think there's some solid teams. I think,
very much so.
I think that's the fun one and more fun than team of the season, because there's some very standard people that we're just going to pick for obvious reasons, and they totally deserve to be there. It's not supposed to be a fun award, it's supposed to be a realistic one, but we had some fun ones chucked in as well. Cool. So the next one, we've got a couple more to go on here. I'm going to switch it around ever so slightly. I'm going to actually change the order. I'm going to do goal of the season next, because this is one I'm interested in. Hopefully we've watched the same ones again. We didn't take the links. But this was a really interesting one. I had 3 goals noted down and then was deciding between 2 and then went with 1. Do you want to start?
Yeah, when you told me the categories, I had one in mind. I wrote that one down. I looked at nothing else because there is only one goal of the season for me, and that is James Ward-Prowse's 35-yard thunderbolt free kick against Wolves.
I mean, what a goal as well. It was on the list, wasn't it, for all of them? So you can't really argue with that. I was seriously tossing it up between 2, but I had a third one of that, and that's the bias in which definitely one didn't do, which is the Ronaldo one. It's actually more the keeper should have saved the Ronaldo one, but it's more the little audacious backheel from Fred, which I just didn't expect, which makes that for me every time. But actually, I was deciding between the one that was actually picked for the goal of the season, which is the Salah one. I think it's an incredible bit of skill. Watching it was like outrageous, and he did another one the second week after, but it's not what I've picked. You're probably going to hate me for this one, but the one I've actually picked is Lacazette versus Southampton. Because I just feel, and it's nothing to do with actually, this is not great defending, but it's not about that. It's about the attacking play. And the reason I've taken it, and I'm sure any listener will know exactly what I'm on about, when Arsenal last won team with a goal of the year, when they had that Jack Wilshere one, when it was like just slick butter football, tiki-taka, passing it up, and they passed it so many times and put it in that. It wasn't quite to that extent, but it was pretty good, like slicing through, and then Lacazette just absolutely top bins it, and it is completely top bins. And I was like, do you know what? That's a beautiful team goal, and I've always thought that Wiltshire Arsenal one. So I've picked that because it gave me reminiscent and nostalgia for that.
Yeah, I mean, I could cut through the Southampton defence this season, so I'm not that impressed. But yeah, you're right. It was a good goal. It was a very good goal.
Right, we have 2 more. We said we're going to be rattling through them quick. So these are some more fun awards from Community FC. We do have one more. I've missed one out. So we've got 3 left. Let's start with that. We'll get with the silly ones in a minute. So Manager of the Season. Now this I found really tough. So I was so close, and I've written 2 names down, so I could technically pick either one, but I'll let you go on this one as well.
Okay, so there's the obvious candidates, isn't there? There's Klopp, there's Pep, there's even Conte for Tottenham. I think he's done a phenomenal job as well, and he'd definitely be an honourable mention for me. But there's one manager, I think, that has done a phenomenal job for the full season.
Yeah,
without too much investment. And to get the club where he got the club this season is nothing short of a miracle. And that's Graham Potter. He has done a phenomenal job this year.
He absolutely has. And he was the one that I had kind of I put in bold as who I thought I was going to pick. So I'll pick someone different, even though I would have picked Graham Potter, just to make it interesting. So actually, the 3 names that I had were nothing to do with the top teams, because I was like, could give it to Klopp, but again, he's lost a couple of finals and done a lot of stuff. That's not taken away from before Liverpool fans get crazy, or same with City. Like, they've done an incredible job, but have failed at different hurdles. So I was on the same wavelength with you, and I was like, right. So I was like, you could have lots of people have gone Eddie Howe, because unbelievable job, but he did have lots of investment behind him.
Yeah, a lot of cash in there.
So, and Graham Potter is, as I said, who I would have picked, because again, they dropped off a bit, but phenomenal beginning of the season and middle of the season, absolutely put them in a high position. So I will go.
I think I can guess who you've gone for.
Go on then.
I think you've gone for Patrick Vieira.
I haven't.
You haven't?
I was going to, but I had him and he didn't make my top 3. So I've gone, because I think it's gone really under the radar, I've gone for Bruno Lage. from Wolves, because Wolves have changed managers so many times, right? And I just think where they're positioned, they are just under Brighton, if I'm correct, on 51 points, the same. So I think they're 10th, and Brighton were 9th, if I'm correct. But it wasn't made such a big deal that when they never really replaced Jota. They had Jimenez, but obviously he didn't play the full time because he had coming back from the head injury recovery and all sorts of stuff. But that was one that just went completely under the radar for most people. But I actually think what a solid job you've done with lots of players like Jose Sa and the position. I was not expecting Wolves to finish there. And at one point, people, even me, were on this show joking about, are they going to take a European spot? So, yeah.
No, that's an absolutely fair shout, to be honest. And I think he's one of those ones up there with the likes of Vieira, Graham Potter, who have done an absolutely fantastic job.
Yeah, I think Vieira would have easily been an honourable mention, because I think we can easily, so we said it a few times, he totally proved us wrong.
Yeah, we both of us thought that he didn't have it, and he showed us it, really, didn't he?
Absolutely.
And yeah, he also gets an honourable mention in our next category as well.
Yeah, true. Right, you can kick off with it then.
Okay, so the next category is the Shithousery Award.
Shithouse of the year.
Shithouse of the year. So, like I said, I think an honourable mention to Patrick Vieira.
This could have a lot of people in it, to be honest.
It really could, and I love a shithouse in football. It's absolutely brilliant. Patrick Vieira for kicking the fan that invaded the pitch.
Also, what are you thinking, mate? Just because he's put a suit on, you suddenly forget who he is.
Exactly, it's Patrick Vieira. But who I've actually given it to is Aaron Ramsdale. Now, for two particular incidents, the first one was versus Leeds, where he was celebrating Arsenal scoring, and they were throwing bottles and coins at him, and he actually took, I think, about 17 quid off of the pitch with him and took it home, because he collects £2 coins, I think. And the other one was, I think, Wolves were quite rattled by him celebrating. And he celebrated again. I think they made comments about him celebrating in the first game. I think it's Ruben Neves maybe made comments about him celebrating against them in the first game, like they won the league. So he did it again in the second game against them, and I think that's just quality shithousery, really.
So to spice things up a bit, absolutely not. I have also gone for Aaron Ramsdale without talking. I just think that there is, like you've said, stuff as well, but even in my head, there's one particular one where they're getting wound up and stuff, and he was playing along with the fans annoying him behind him. So as he's kicking it, he's also screaming, "You shit, like to himself as he's kicking it, which is amazing. Like, he just doesn't let anything get to him, and he does everything with a smile on his face, and he knows when to have a bit of a go, but also I think he's just having a good laugh out there himself. So I think there's lots of other people we could have picked, but I think that he wins it hands down this year, and good on the lad. Right, another one. In fact, I'll let you do this as well. This is another one of your awards, so you crack on.
Yeah. So this is the final one, isn't it? The final category, and I thought it would be interesting to see who you thought the villain
of the Prem.
The villain of the Premier League was. So I've gone for a fairly contentious one, mainly contentious for you, Aidan. I think you can guess who it is. And that would be Cristiano Ronaldo, villain of the Premier League. I mean, if you're going to break a kid's phone because you're angry, that's pretty villainous.
Yeah.
And twice this season, I think he's petulantly kicked a player. The one that springs to mind is Curtis Jones, who is, like 18 or 19 or something. Again, I get you're passionate about the game, mate, but there's no need to be petulant about it and be a child about it, especially at his age.
I mean, I'll let you have it. Like, I've been particularly with you, and you love using that word when it comes to, because it annoys me. But I can't disagree with, he did do those things, and he did. The phone thing is, it's not excusable, and that's what it is. But there's plenty of other people that have done plenty of stuff this season that I feel could have gone above him. So I've gone with probably the more obvious option. Again, we've said there's probably quite a lot of people that we could do it, but I have gone for Richarlison. I don't think there's many people that will disagree with that. Like, the amount of just stuff that he does in terms of like diving and back chat and just been generally a bit of a nasty bloke. And I think if if he's not your most hated player of the season, I think he must be in your top 3 at the very least. Like there was even that video of him on international duty recently with a ref hitting him on the back and him going down like a sack of potatoes, and the ref just being like, "Are you joking, mate?" Like I just think, it's one of them. I just think, he was linked to United at one point, and I went, "Please no, like I really don't want him at my club." And I think he even started on Vinicius Junior in Brazil training the other week and stuff. He's just got a lot about him that.
Although, to be in his defence, Vinicius Junior did compare him to Pogba.
More baits.
I think I genuinely think that's the story.
I mean, I didn't hear that, but fair enough if he did.
I think he said that Vinny Junior said you're going to get relegated with Everton, and he said you are a bad player, and then he said Pogba's better than you, and then that's when he snapped. Apparently, I mean, that might be hearsay. That might just be.
I mean, it might not be, but I'd also say surely that plays to Richarlison being a more villain because look at what he's just done in terms of Champions League alone, let alone the rest of the season. So interesting.
Yeah, but it's not Ronaldo, is he?
There we go. I don't think we're going to agree on the last one. Yeah, you reel him in. Yeah. So I think that's just a fun way to end the season. We've thrown out some players and teams and managers and all sorts of stuff that we think have been good. We could have had a lot more awards, but we thought let's stick with the basics and add a few fun ones on to the end of it. We will be back. Don't worry. So this is kind of the end of season 2 for Roundup Review. We'll be back with season 3 as soon as the season starts again. We're looking forward to it. Over the summer, we're going to probably try and have some content coming. I think there might be the odd transfer kind of review episode, especially when we get close to the transfer window shutting. That'd be a really fun one to do. We might even do one where we talk about like our team specifically, like what's been happening there. We might even do the dreaded predictions video to see how wrong we are at the end of next season. We will see. That's always the contentious one as well. Like, do we want to do it and put ourselves through that? Because it goes horribly wrong for most people like it has this season. But yeah, so don't worry, we will be back. Thank you so much for anyone that has been tuning in over this season for our seasons, for any of our content really, and our new Spotify listeners as well. That is brilliant. So don't forget, if you have been liking this content, give us a thumbs up, give us a subscribe, give us hit the notification bell, because it won't be probably as regular schedule over the summer period when we've got a bit of downtime. But there will be content coming. And if you want to be notified on Spotify as well, give us a 5-star rating and hit the notification bell on there and follow us. A big thank you to you, Rich, for coming on all season and just chatting general shit and football with me. It's been great.
Yeah, I mean, it's what we would normally do anyway.
Precisely.
If we weren't recording it, so it's just nice to be able to get this out there, and if we make a few people's commutes a little bit easier, then I'm happy for it. So thank you very much for having me on, mate. No, it's been an absolute pleasure, and that, literally I was thinking that in my head. I was like, this is literally what we do anyway, so why not slap it up and stick it on the internet and look like prats where we get everything wrong, so that has been it. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for us. Follow us on social, check out all those things to keep notified, and we'll be back with some more content very, very soon. Thanks very much.